Hello, everyone. Today, I want to share with you the remarkable story of Tom Hanks, one of Hollywood's most beloved actors and genuinely good human beings. Tom Hanks is not just a movie star. He represents something deeper, something that resonates with all of us who value integrity, kindness, and authenticity. His journey from a struggling young actor to America's most trusted entertainer is filled with lessons about perseverance, humility, and staying true to yourself. Tom Hanks was born on July 9, 1956, in Concord, California. His full name is Thomas Jeffrey Hanks, and he came into this world during a time when America was experiencing significant cultural changes. The 1950s were a period of optimism and growth, and Tom's early years were shaped by the values of that era: hard work, decency, and the importance of family. However, Tom's childhood was not easy. When he was just 5 years old, his parents divorced. This was 1961, a time when divorce was less common and more stigmatizing than it is today. The separation deeply affected young Tom. He and his older siblings went to live with their father, Amos Hanks, who worked as a cook. His mother, Janet, remarried and moved away, which meant Tom didn't see her as often as he would have liked. The divorce set Tom on an unsettled path. His father remarried multiple times, and with each new marriage came moves to different homes and different neighborhoods. By the time Tom was 10 years old, he had lived in 10 different houses. Imagine being a young child, constantly uprooted, always the new kid at school, never quite feeling settled or secure. This experience could have broken him, but instead it taught him adaptability and resilience. Tom has spoken about how this constant moving affected him. He became shy and introverted, finding it difficult to make lasting friendships when he knew he might be moving again soon. School was challenging not because of academics, but because of the social isolation he felt. He was a lonely kid who learned to entertain himself, to find comfort in his own imagination. This loneliness, painful as it was, would later inform his ability to portray complex, deeply human characters on screen. Despite the instability at home, Tom found solace in two places: the church and the theater. His family attended church regularly, and there Tom learned about community, compassion, and moral values. These teachings would stay with him throughout his life, shaping the kind of person he would become. The church gave him a moral compass that has guided him through the often treacherous waters of Hollywood fame. The theater was his other sanctuary. In high school, Tom discovered acting, and it changed everything. Suddenly, this shy, introverted boy who struggled to connect with peers found a place where he belonged. On stage, he could be someone else, express emotions he kept bottled up, and most importantly, make people laugh and feel something. Acting gave him purpose and confidence. Tom attended Skyline High School in Oakland, California, where he became increasingly involved in the drama department. His teachers noticed his natural talent and encouraged him to pursue it seriously. After graduating in 1974, Tom enrolled at Chabot College in Hayward, California, before transferring to California State University, Sacramento. At Sacramento State, he studied theater and performed in numerous productions. It was during his college years that Tom truly fell in love with acting. He wasn't the most naturally gifted actor at first. He had to work hard, study his craft, learn techniques, and practice constantly. But he had something that couldn't be taught: authenticity. When Tom performed, audiences believed him. There was a genuineness to his work that drew people in. In 1977, Tom made a bold decision that would change his life forever. He dropped out of college to pursue acting full-time. This was a risky move, leaving school without a degree to chase an uncertain dream in one of the most competitive industries in the world. His family worried, as any family would, but Tom was determined. He knew deep in his heart that this was what he was meant to do. Tom moved to New York City, the heart of American theater. If you wanted to be a serious actor in the late 1970s, New York was where you needed to be. He arrived with little money, big dreams, and an enormous amount of determination. Those early years in New York were tough. Tom lived in cheap apartments, worked odd jobs to pay rent, and went to countless auditions where he faced rejection after rejection. The struggle was real and constant. There were times when Tom wondered if he had made a terrible mistake leaving school. There were nights when he went to bed hungry, mornings when he woke up not knowing how he would pay his bills. But he never gave up. He kept showing up to auditions, kept working on his craft, kept believing that his break would come. In 1979, Tom got his first significant break. He was cast in a low-budget horror film called He Knows You're Alone. It was a small role in a forgettable movie, but it was a start. More importantly, it gave him his Screen Actors Guild card, which meant he could audition for bigger roles. That same year, he landed a role in a television sitcom called Bosom Buddies. Bosom Buddies premiered in 1980 and ran for 2 seasons. The premise was silly. 2 young men disguised themselves as women to live in an affordable, women-only apartment building. But Tom brought charm and genuine comedy to his role. While the show wasn't a huge hit, it got Tom noticed. People in the industry began to recognize his talent, his work ethic, and his likability. During the run of Bosom Buddies, Tom also met his first wife, Samantha Lewis, whom he had actually married back in 1978. They had 2 children together, Colin, born in 1977, and Elizabeth, born in 1982. Tom loved his children deeply and worked hard to provide for his growing family. However, the pressures of his struggling career and financial difficulties put strain on the marriage. After Bosom Buddies was canceled in 1982, Tom faced uncertainty again. The show had given him visibility, but he wasn't a star yet. He was just another young actor in Hollywood trying to make it. He took whatever work he could get, appearing in small television roles and low-budget films. These were humble years, years of grinding and hoping and working and waiting. Then in 1984 came the movie that would change everything, Splash. This romantic comedy directed by Ron Howard told the story of a man who falls in love with a mermaid, played by Daryl Hannah. Tom played Alan Bauer, the ordinary guy who finds extraordinary love. The movie was charming, funny, and heartfelt, and Tom's performance was the anchor that made it all work. Splash was a significant commercial success, earning over $69 million at the box office. More importantly, it established Tom Hanks as a leading man in Hollywood. Audiences loved his everyman quality, his natural charm, his ability to be funny without being obnoxious, romantic without being sappy. He was relatable in a way that many movie stars aren't. He seemed like someone you could actually know, a regular guy who just happened to be extraordinarily talented. Following Splash, Tom's career gained momentum. He appeared in several comedies throughout the mid-1980s, including Bachelor Party 1984, The Man with One Red Shoe 1985, and The Money Pit 1986. Not all of these films were successful, and some were frankly mediocre, but Tom continued to work, continued to learn, continued to grow as an actor. During this period, Tom's personal life underwent significant changes. His marriage to Samantha Lewis ended in divorce in 1987. Divorce is never easy, especially when children are involved, and Tom has spoken about how painful this period was for him. He was determined, however, to remain a present and loving father to Colin and Elizabeth, even as his career demanded more and more of his time. In 1988, Tom married actress Rita Wilson, whom he had met on the set of Bosom Buddies and reconnected with while filming Volunteers in 1985. Rita would become not just his wife, but his partner, his best friend, and his anchor. Their marriage is one of Hollywood's most enduring and genuine, lasting more than 3 decades in an industry where marriages often fail spectacularly. Rita and Tom's relationship is something special, something that resonates deeply with those who value lasting love and commitment. They've raised 2 sons together, Chester, born in 1990, and Truman, born in 1995. Tom has often said that Rita made him a better person, that she brought stability and joy to his life. In interviews, the love and respect between them is evident. They laugh together, support each other's careers, and have weathered difficult times as a team. The year 1988 also brought Tom one of his most memorable roles, Josh Baskin in Big. This film, about a young boy who wishes to be big and wakes up in an adult's body, showcased Tom's remarkable range as an actor. He had to convincingly portray a 13-year-old boy trapped in a 30-year-old man's body, capturing the wonder, innocence, and awkwardness of adolescence while inhabiting an adult form. Tom's performance in Big was nothing short of brilliant. The famous scene where he plays chopsticks on a giant floor piano in a Fal Schwartz toy store has become one of the most iconic moments in cinema history. But beyond that memorable scene, Tom brought genuine heart to the role. You believed he was a child. You felt his confusion, his excitement, his fear. The performance earned him his first Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. Big was also a commercial success, proving that Tom Hanks could carry a film and draw audiences to theaters. He was no longer just a comedic actor. He was a genuine movie star. But success didn't change him. Those who worked with Tom during this period all commented on his professionalism, his kindness to crew members, his lack of ego. He treated everyone on set with respect, from the director to the production assistants. As the 1980s ended and the 1990s began, Tom made a conscious decision to take on more serious, dramatic roles. He was tired of being typecast in light comedies and wanted to prove he could handle weightier material. This transition from comedy to drama is notoriously difficult. Many actors who try it fail, but Tom was determined. In 1992, he appeared in A League of Their Own, playing the alcoholic manager of a women's baseball team during World War II. While the film had comedic elements, Tom brought depth and nuance to his character. His famous line, "There's no crying in baseball," became part of popular culture. But the role also showed he could portray flawed, complex characters. Then came 1993, and with it, a film that would cement Tom Hanks as one of the finest actors of his generation, Philadelphia. This groundbreaking film told the story of Andrew Beckett, a lawyer fired from his firm after his employers discover he has AIDS. In the early 1990s, AIDS was still deeply stigmatized, and many in Hollywood were afraid to tackle the subject. Tom wasn't afraid. Playing Andrew Beckett required Tom to lose significant weight, to physically transform himself to look like someone ravaged by disease. But the physical transformation was just the beginning. Tom had to capture the dignity, the fear, the anger, and the courage of a man facing both discrimination and death. He had to make audiences understand and empathize with someone many people at that time feared and judged. Tom's performance in Philadelphia was stunning. There's a scene where his character, alone in his apartment, listens to an opera aria and explains its meaning. It's about a woman facing death and finding the courage to accept it. As Tom speaks, tears stream down his face, and you realize you're not watching acting anymore. You're watching raw, honest emotion. You're watching truth. Philadelphia was both a critical and commercial success, but more importantly, it changed conversations about AIDS and homophobia in America. The film humanized people with AIDS at a time when they desperately needed humanization. And Tom Hanks, a straight man playing a gay man with AIDS, did so with such respect, dignity, and authenticity that he helped shift public opinion. For this performance, Tom won his first Academy Award for Best Actor. Winning an Oscar is the pinnacle of success for any actor, and Tom's acceptance speech was characteristically gracious and heartfelt. He thanked his family, his colleagues, and specifically acknowledged his gay drama teacher from high school, who had inspired him to pursue acting. It was a simple gesture, but meaningful, especially in the context of a film about LGBTQ rights. The very next year, 1994, Tom Hanks did something extraordinary. He won a second consecutive Academy Award for Best Actor. This is an incredibly rare achievement. Only a handful of actors in Oscar history have won back-to-back Best Actor awards. The film was Forrest Gump, and it would become one of the most beloved movies of all time. Forrest Gump tells the story of a simple man with a low IQ, who, through a combination of luck, innocence, and kindness, finds himself present at many of the defining moments of American history, from the 1950s through the 1980s. Forrest meets Elvis Presley, plays college football, serves in Vietnam, meets President Kennedy, becomes a ping pong champion, runs across America, and becomes a successful businessman, all while remaining fundamentally unchanged, guided by the simple wisdom his mother taught him. Tom's portrayal of Forrest Gump is a masterclass in acting. He had to make the character simple without making him stupid, naive without making him foolish, good without making him saccharine. Forrest needed to be believable, sympathetic, and inspiring. Tom achieved all of this through subtle physical choices. The way Forrest walks, talks, holds his body. And through an emotional honesty that made you root for this character every step of the way. The film resonated with audiences in a profound way. Forrest Gump grossed over $677 million worldwide and became a cultural phenomenon. Lines from the movie entered everyday language. Life is like a box of chocolates. Stupid is as stupid does. Run, Forrest, run. But beyond the memorable quotes, the film touched something deep in the American psyche. It was about decency, perseverance, and the idea that kindness and integrity matter more than intelligence or sophistication. For many seniors, Forrest Gump is particularly meaningful because it spans their own lifetimes. The historical events depicted in the film, the Vietnam War, the Civil Rights Movement, Waterfall, the counterculture of the 1960s and 70s, are events they lived through. Watching Forrest navigate these turbulent times with his simple goodness reminded them of their own values, their own experiences, their own understanding of what matters in life. Tom's second Oscar win confirmed what everyone already knew: he was one of the greatest actors of his generation. But again, success didn't change him. In his acceptance speech, Tom was emotional and humble, thanking everyone who had supported him and acknowledging how fortunate he was. There was no arrogance, no sense of entitlement, just genuine gratitude. The mid to late 1990s saw Tom Hanks at the height of his powers as an actor. He chose his projects carefully, working with the best directors and taking on challenging, meaningful roles. In 1995, he provided the voice of Woody in Pixar's Toy Story, the first fully computer-animated feature film. This role, Sur les Nemours, introduced Tom to a whole new generation of fans, children who might not have seen his adult dramas, but loved the cowboy doll who came to life. Toy Story was groundbreaking in animation technology, but it succeeded because of its heart and its story about friendship, loyalty, and finding your place in the world. Tom brought warmth and depth to Woody, making him more than just a cartoon character. He made Woody real. Tom would continue voicing Woody through 4 Toy Story films, spanning nearly 25 years, and the character became one of his most beloved roles. In 1996, Tom both starred in and directed That Thing You Do. This charming film about a fictional 1960s pop band showcased Tom's talents behind the camera as well as in front of it. The movie was a love letter to a simpler time, to the excitement of youth and music and possibility. While it wasn't a massive commercial hit, it demonstrated Tom's versatility and his passion for storytelling. Then came 1998 and Saving Private Ryan, directed by Steven Spielberg. This World War II epic told the story of a group of soldiers sent behind enemy lines to find and bring home a paratrooper whose 3 brothers have all been killed in action. Tom played Captain John Miller, the school teacher turned soldier leading this dangerous mission. Saving Private Ryan is a brutal, unflinching look at war. The opening 27-minute sequence depicting the D-Day invasion of Omaha Beach is one of the most intense and realistic battle scenes ever filmed. It's violent, chaotic, and horrifying, showing war not as glory but as nightmare. Tom's Captain Miller anchors the film, representing the ordinary men who did extraordinary things during World War II. For many seniors, especially those who served in World War II or Korea, or whose fathers and uncles served, Saving Private Ryan was deeply personal. The film honored the sacrifice of that generation, showing both their courage and their trauma. Tom approached the role with immense respect for real veterans, working hard to authentically portray their experience. After the film's release, many veterans said it was the most accurate depiction of combat they had ever seen. Tom has always had tremendous respect for military veterans, particularly those of the World War II generation. He has said that these men and women represent the best of America, ordinary people who answered an extraordinary call to service. This respect comes through in his performances and his off-screen advocacy for veterans' causes. Tom has been involved with the National World War II Museum in New Orleans, helping to raise funds and awareness for this important institution. In 1999, Tom starred in The Green Mile, based on Stephen King's novel. He played Paul Edgecombe, a death row prison guard who develops a relationship with a gentle giant of a man, John Coffey, who possesses supernatural healing powers. The film is about mercy, justice, and the mystery of goodness in a fallen world. Tom's performance was subtle and powerful, conveying the moral complexity of a man who must carry out executions, while recognizing the humanity of those he executes. The year 2000 brought Cast Away, one of Tom's most physically and emotionally demanding roles. He played Chuck Noland, a FedEx executive whose plane crashes, leaving him stranded alone on a deserted island for 4 years. For much of the film's middle section, Tom is the only actor on screen, with no dialogue, accompanied only by a volleyball he names Wilson. To prepare for Cast Away, Tom lost 50 pounds and grew out his hair and beard to look like someone who had been stranded for years. The physical transformation was remarkable. But what made the performance extraordinary was Tom's ability to convey the psychological journey of isolation, survival, hope, and despair with minimal dialogue. The scene where Chuck loses Wilson, his only companion, is heartbreaking. You're watching a man grieve for a volleyball, and yet you understand completely. That's the power of Tom's acting. As the new millennium began, Tom continued to take on diverse, challenging roles. He re-teamed with Steven Spielberg for Catch Me If You Can, 2002, playing an FBI agent pursuing a brilliant teenage con artist. In The Terminal 2004, He portrayed a man trapped in an airport terminal due to bureaucratic limbo. In The Polar Express 2004, he performed motion capture for multiple roles in an animated Christmas film. Throughout the 2000s and 2010s, Tom maintained his position as one of Hollywood's most respected and bankable stars. He starred in blockbusters like The Da Vinci Code 2006 and its sequels, adapted from Dan Brown's best-selling novels. He worked repeatedly with great directors like Steven Spielberg and the Coen brothers. He produced films and miniseries, including the acclaimed Band of Brothers and The Pacific, further demonstrating his commitment to telling stories about World War II veterans. But it's not just his filmography that makes Tom Hanks beloved, especially among seniors. It's who he is as a person. In an industry notorious for ego, scandal, and bad behavior, Tom has remained remarkably scandal-free for over 4 decades. There are no stories of Tom being difficult on set, mistreating people, or behaving inappropriately. Instead, there are countless stories of his kindness, generosity, and down-to-earth nature. Tom is famous for remembering people's names, for chatting with crew members between takes, for taking time with fans who approach him. There are numerous viral stories of Tom's kindness helping a bride with wedding photos when he happened upon a wedding in Central Park, returning a lost student ID to a college student with a personalized note, surprising fans with random acts of kindness. These aren't publicity stunts, they're just who Tom is. His marriage to Rita Wilson is a testament to lasting love in an industry where marriages rarely last. Tom and Rita have been together for over 35 years, through good times and bad. They've supported each other through career ups and downs, through Rita's battle with breast cancer, through their own bout with COVID-19 in 2020. When Tom talks about Rita, his face lights up. After all these years, they're still clearly in love, still partners, still best friends. In 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic began, Tom and Rita were among the first celebrities to publicly announce they had contracted the virus. They were in Australia, where Tom was filming a movie about Elvis Presley. Instead of hiding or downplaying their illness, they were transparent about their experience, sharing updates and encouraging people to take the virus seriously, follow health guidelines, and support medical workers. After recovering, Tom and Rita began donating their plasma for research, since their blood contained antibodies that might help scientists develop treatments. Tom also used his platform to encourage people to wear masks, practice social distancing, and get vaccinated when vaccines became available. He didn't preach or lecture, he simply shared information and modeled responsible behavior. This is vintage Tom Hanks using his influence for good without being self-righteous about it. Tom's humility is genuine and consistent. Despite being one of the most famous and successful actors in the world, he doesn't carry himself like a superstar. He drives himself to set rather than having a chauffeur. He doesn't travel with an entourage. He's been known to fly commercial rather than on private jets. When he won his Oscars, his speeches were grateful and gracious, acknowledging all the people who helped him along the way. There's a famous moment from the 2020 Golden Globe Awards that perfectly captures who Tom is. Tom was presenting an award, and as he walked to the podium, the audience gave him a standing ovation. But Tom didn't bask in the applause or milk the moment. Instead, he looked genuinely uncomfortable, gesturing for people to sit down, clearly embarrassed by the attention. He doesn't seek adulation, he just wants to do good work and be a good person. Tom's values are old-fashioned in the best sense of the word. He believes in hard work, in treating people with respect, in loyalty and integrity. He believes marriage is a commitment you honor, that fatherhood is a responsibility. You take seriously that fame and fortune come with obligations to use your platform for good. These are values that resonate deeply with seniors, many of whom grew up with similar beliefs. As a father, Tom has been present and supportive. His 4 children, Colin, Elizabeth, Chester, and Truman, have all spoken about what a loving, engaged dad he is. Colin and Elizabeth have followed in their father's footsteps, working in the entertainment industry, and Tom has been their biggest cheerleader. He's proud of his kids, but he doesn't use his influence to push them into opportunities they haven't earned. He wants them to succeed on their own merits. Tom is also a patriot in the truest sense, someone who loves his country while recognizing its flaws, who celebrates American ideals while acknowledging when America falls short of those ideals. Many of his films explore American history and identity: Forrest Gump, Apollo 13, Saving Private Ryan, Bridge of Spies, Sully. These films examine what it means to be American, what America represents, and the ordinary people who embody American values. His passion for space exploration is well documented. Tom has been fascinated by NASA and the space program since childhood, and this passion came through beautifully in Apollo 13, 1995, where he played astronaut Jim Lovell during the ill-fated moon mission that became a triumphant rescue. The film's tagline, "Houston, we have a problem," became famous, but the movie's real power was in showing how human ingenuity, courage, and cooperation can overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. Tom has remained friends with Jim Lovell and other astronauts, and he's an advocate for space exploration and science education. He understands that the space program represents humanity's capacity for achievement, curiosity, and hope, qualities he values deeply. For seniors who remember the excitement of the space race, the moon landing, and America's scientific achievements, Tom's enthusiasm for space exploration is another point of connection. Another role that resonated deeply with many Americans, particularly seniors, was Tom's portrayal of Chesley "Sully" Sullenberger in the 2016 film Sully. On January 15, 2009, Captain Sullenberger successfully landed U.S. Airways Flight 1549 on the Hudson River, after the plane struck a flock of geese and lost engine power, saving all 155 people aboard. It was an extraordinary feat of piloting skill and calm under pressure. Tom captured Sully's humility, his professionalism, and his discomfort with being called a hero. Sully saw himself as simply doing his job, using his training and experience to handle an emergency. This modesty, this sense of duty over glory, is something Tom understands intimately. It reflects his own approach to his work and life. The film was directed by Clint Eastwood, himself a Hollywood legend and someone who shares Tom's values of craftsmanship and integrity. Throughout his career, Tom has worked with the greatest directors in cinema: Steven Spielberg, Ron Howard, Robert Zemeckis, Clint Eastwood, the Coen brothers, Nora Ephron, Penny Marshall. These directors keep returning to Tom because he's reliable, professional, and brings something special to every role. He elevates material, makes other actors better, and never causes problems on set. Tom's work ethic is legendary. He arrives on set prepared, having studied his lines and thought deeply about his character. He's willing to do multiple takes until the director's satisfied. He doesn't complain about early call times or difficult conditions. This professionalism comes from his deep respect for the craft of filmmaking and for everyone involved in making a movie. As Tom has aged, he's embraced getting older with grace and honesty. He hasn't had obvious plastic surgery or tried desperately to look young. He's let his hair go gray, allowed the lines on his face to deepen, and talked openly about the realities of aging. In a culture obsessed with youth, Tom's acceptance of aging is refreshing and dignified. In recent years, Tom has taken on roles that reflect his age and experience. In A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, 2019, he played Fred Rogers, the beloved children's television host who taught generations of kids about kindness, feelings, and what it means to be a good neighbor. Tom captured Mr. Rogers' gentle wisdom and genuine interest in others. It was a perfect pairing. Two of the nicest men in American public life, one portraying the other. Tom's portrayal of Mr. Rogers was uncanny, not just in appearance, but in spirit. He understood that Fred Rogers' power came from his authenticity, his willingness to be vulnerable, his belief that every person has value. These are qualities Tom himself embodies. The film reminded audiences that kindness isn't weakness, that gentleness takes courage, and that making people feel seen and valued is important work. Tom and Rita's relationship has become a model for lasting marriage. They support each other's careers, spending time apart when necessary, but always coming back together. They laugh together. Their social media posts often show them being silly, having fun, enjoying life. They've faced challenges together, including Rita's breast cancer diagnosis in 2015. Tom was by her side throughout her treatment, and Rita has said that his support was crucial to her recovery. When Tom and Rita both contracted COVID-19 in 2020, they faced it together, isolating in Australia and documenting their experience. Tom's updates were characteristically optimistic and informative. He thanked the Australian medical workers caring for them, encouraged people to follow health guidelines, and tried to keep spirits up during a frightening time. Even in illness, he thought about others and tried to be helpful. Tom's politics are moderate and measured. He's a Democrat and has supported various Democratic candidates, but he's never been extreme or divisive in his political expression. He focuses on issues rather than partisan warfare, supporting veterans, funding arts education, protecting the environment, advancing civil rights. He votes and encourages others to vote, but he doesn't lecture or condescend. This measured approach to politics is appreciated by many seniors who are tired of extreme partisanship. His philanthropy is extensive but often quiet. Tom supports numerous charities and causes, but he doesn't seek publicity for his giving. He's donated to veterans organizations, children's hospitals, arts programs, and disaster relief efforts. When California was hit by wildfires, Tom supported relief efforts. When the National World War II Museum needed funding, Tom helped raise money. He uses his fame to shine light on important causes, but he doesn't make it about himself. Tom is also a collector of vintage typewriters and has been known to give them as gifts to people he works with. This quirky hobby reflects his appreciation for craftsmanship, history, and the tactile pleasures of analog technology in a digital age. He's written short stories using his typewriters and has even created a typewriter app for mobile devices. This creative outlet, separate from his acting career, shows his multifaceted interests and creative spirit. His social media presence is delightful. Tom's Instagram account shows him finding lost gloves and socks on the streets of New York and posting photos of them with captions like, "Here's a glove on the way to somewhere." Hanks. It's silly and sweet and very Tom, finding small moments of interest in everyday life, sharing them without pretension, making people smile. His posts often feature Rita, vintage cars he admires, or coffee recommendations. It's authentic and personal without being oversharing. Tom's voice work in the Toy Story franchise deserves special mention because it represents a 25-year commitment to a character that means so much to children and adults alike. Woody the Cowboy Doll is brave, loyal, sometimes insecure, always devoted to his friends. Tom brought depth and growth to Woody across 4 films, showing how even a toy can evolve, face challenges, and make difficult choices. Toy Story 3, 2019, the concluding chapter, was particularly emotional. It dealt with themes of letting go, growing up, and finding new purpose when your old purpose is gone. The ending, where Andy gives his toys to a little girl named Bonnie before heading off to college, had audiences of all ages crying. Tom's voice performance in those final scenes was heartbreaking and beautiful. It was about endings and new beginnings, about love that endures even when circumstances change. For grandparents watching Toy Story movies with their grandchildren, the films create a special shared experience. Grandparents who might not know current pop culture can watch these movies and genuinely enjoy them, laughing and crying alongside their grandkids. Tom's Woody is a character that bridges generations, teaching lessons about friendship, loyalty, and courage that are timeless. Tom's appreciation for history extends beyond his film roles. He's an avid reader of history books and has even written historical fiction. His book Uncommon Type Fund, published in 2017, is a collection of short stories, many set in different periods of American history. The title refers to his typewriter collection. Each story features a typewriter in some way. The book shows Tom's literary talent and his deep love for storytelling in all its forms. He's also passionate about preserving film history. Tom has spoken about the importance of film preservation, ensuring that classic movies are maintained and available for future generations. He understands that movies are not just entertainment, but cultural artifacts that tell us who we were and help us understand who we are. This respect for history and preservation resonates with seniors who value maintaining connections to the past. Tom's stamina and continued productivity are remarkable. Even in his mid-60s, he maintains a busy schedule, making multiple films a year, doing press tours, attending events, and working on various projects. He takes care of his health, exercises regularly, and maintains the energy needed for demanding film roles. He's shown that aging doesn't mean slowing down or becoming irrelevant. It can mean doing your best, most mature work. His recent role in Elvis 2022, where he played Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis Presley's manager, showed Tom could still surprise audiences. He took on a villainous role, playing a manipulative manager who exploited Elvis for personal gain. It was against type for Tom, who usually plays heroes and good guys. But he embraced the challenge and delivered a memorable performance. At his age and level of success, he could coast on past achievements. But instead, he continues to take risks and push himself. The respect Tom commands in Hollywood is universal. When the American Film Institute honored him with a Lifetime Achievement Award, speaker after speaker, directors, actors, producers, talked about his talent. Yes, but mostly they talked about his character. They told stories of his kindness, his professionalism, his humor, his integrity. The tributes weren't just celebrating a great actor, but a great human being. Tom has received numerous honors beyond his Oscars. He's received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, America's highest civilian honor. He's received the Kennedy Center Honor for his contributions to American culture through the arts. He has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. These accolades recognize not just his artistic achievements, but his impact on American culture and his embodiment of values that America aspires to. What makes Tom Hanks so beloved, especially among seniors, is that he represents something we fear is disappearing from our culture: genuine goodness. In a time of cynicism, divisiveness, and moral relativism, Tom stands for decency, kindness, and integrity. He's proof that you can be successful without being ruthless, famous without being egotistical, wealthy without being greedy. He's also proof that a stable, loving marriage is possible even in Hollywood. His relationship with Rita Wilson shows that commitment, respect, and genuine affection can sustain a relationship through decades. For seniors who have been married for many years, Tom and Rita's relationship is relatable and affirming. They show that lasting love isn't a fairy tale. It's a choice you make every day, a partnership you nurture, a friendship you maintain. Tom's films have become part of our cultural fabric. Lines from his movies are quoted daily. "Houston, we have a problem. Life is like a box of chocolates. There's no crying in baseball. To infinity and beyond." These phrases have transcended their films to become part of how we communicate, how we understand our experiences, how we express ourselves. His characters have taught us lessons. Forrest Gump taught us that kindness and perseverance matter more than intelligence. Captain Miller taught us about sacrifice and duty. Chuck Nolan taught us about survival and resilience. Andrew Beckett taught us about dignity in the face of discrimination and death. Fred Rogers taught us about the power of kindness. Each character carries wisdom, offering something valuable about how to live. For seniors who have lived through immense changes, from the pre-computer age to the internet, age from 3 TV channels to unlimited streaming, from rotary phones to smartphones, Tom Hanks has been a constant. He's been making movies for over 4 decades, evolving with the times while maintaining his core values. He's a link to a Hollywood that valued storytelling over spectacle, character over special effects, substance over superficiality. Tom's humility about his own talent is endearing. He often says he's just been lucky, that he's had opportunities others didn't get, that he's worked with great directors and writers who made him look good. While there's truth to the fact that he's been fortunate, his self-deprecation ignores his extraordinary talent, work ethic, and the choices he's made. But this humility is part of why people love him. He doesn't take himself too seriously. There's a story that captures Tom's character perfectly. During the filming of Cast Away, the crew was working on a remote island with difficult conditions. One day, Tom noticed that the crew was exhausted and struggling with the heat. Without being asked, without making a big deal of it, Tom arranged for an ice cream truck to be brought to the island to treat the crew. It wasn't a grand gesture or a publicity stunt. It was a thoughtful act from someone who noticed other people's discomfort and wanted to help. Tom's impact extends beyond entertainment. He's inspired people to be kinder, to work harder, to treat others with respect, to value integrity over shortcuts. Parents tell their children, "Be like Tom Hanks. Work hard, be kind, stay humble." That's a remarkable legacy, to be held up not just as a talented performer, but as a role model for how to live. As Tom continues into his late 60s and beyond, there's every reason to believe he'll keep working, keep creating, keep inspiring. He shows no signs of slowing down, no indication of resting on his laurels. He still has stories he wants to tell, characters he wants to explore, contributions he wants to make. His passion for his craft remains as strong as it was when he was a struggling young actor in New York City. The lesson of Tom Hanks' life and career is simple but profound. Be authentic. Work hard. Treat people well. Stay humble. Love deeply. Serve something larger than yourself. These are old-fashioned values, perhaps, but they're timeless. Tom has built an extraordinary career and life on these foundations. And in doing so, he's shown that goodness and success aren't opposites. They can go hand in hand. For those of us who have watched Tom Hanks for decades, who have grown older alongside him, who have found comfort, joy, and inspiration in his work, he's more than an actor. He's a friend we've never met, a presence that's enriched our lives, a reminder of what we value and who we aspire to be. In a complicated, often disappointing world, Tom Hanks is someone we can count on to be decent, talented, and real. So today, as we reflect on Tom Hanks and his remarkable journey, let's celebrate not just his achievements, but what those achievements represent: the triumph of character over ego, of substance over flash, of lasting quality over temporary trends. Let's appreciate that in an industry and a culture that often rewards the wrong things, Tom Hanks has succeeded by being himself, a fundamentally good person who happens to be extraordinarily talented. Tom once said, "If it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. It's the hard that makes it great." He was talking about baseball in a league of their own, but he could have been talking about life itself. Living with integrity is hard. Staying humble when the world tells you you're special is hard. Maintaining a marriage takes work. Being kind when you're tired or frustrated takes effort. But it's the hard that makes it great, and Tom Hanks has shown us how it's done. Thank you, Tom, for decades of wonderful performances, for showing us the best of what humanity can be, for making us laugh and cry, and think for being someone we can look up to and admire. Your work has enriched our lives, and your example has inspired us to be better people. That's a legacy that goes far beyond awards or box office numbers. It's a legacy measured in the countless lives you've touched, and the countless moments of joy, comfort, and inspiration you've provided. Here's to Tom Hanks, a truly good man and a truly great actor.